Staring into the black abyss, I feel uneasy. The room is dark. There's a single candle burning. There isn't much of a reflection in the pitch black obsidian mirror that I'm gazing into. But wait, what's that? Something moving? Oh, it's my reflection. But no, it's not. It's different. Something not from this world. It's something from beyond the... In modern times, Wiccans and witches regularly use age to practice scrying, the art of divination, or seeing what is to come, or for contacting spirits from the other side. By staring into the crystal ball, or tarot cards, pools of dark water, cauldrons, or scrying mirrors, they take up a meditative or trance-like state, and the scryers intending to see or be transported into another realm, where they will get information, where they will contact other spirits, hopefully good spirits. The scrying mirror was popular in medieval Europe, but its use almost certainly goes back much further than that. We go back to Aztec Mexico, where smooth circles of highly polished obsidian were found, and were associated with the god Tezcatlipoca, who had powers of divination. Moving forward to the 16th century, we come across John Dee, an advisor to the court of Queen Elizabeth in the 16th century. He was a true Renaissance man. He investigated. He used many different techniques, and he wrote about most of them. Things that were on the edge of society in those days. Scrying was one of them. This was associated with magic, and magic was one of the dark arts, wasn't it? It was part of the occult, and not something that the very powerful church approved of in those days. John Dee was something of an occultist when it wasn't prudent to be so, and at one point was locked up for reading the Queen's horoscope. He found his way back into the favour of the court, and spent much of his time travelling Europe with Edmund Kelly. Edmund Kelly was a self-proclaimed alchemist, and possibly something of a rogue. While Dee was sincere and honest in his efforts to look into and to discover what was going on with the occult, Kelly was basically just along for the ride, and no doubt using Dee as a meal ticket. Dee's scrying mirror that he had acquired is now in the British Museum, and it was recently investigated, and it was found that its composition was such that it almost certainly came from Mexico, from Aztec Mexico, where it had been used by them as a scrying mirror. And in fact, the genuine article. John Dee wrote many books on various subjects, mathematics, physics, and on the occult. I would suggest you stay away from his occult books, because some of them are designed to conjure entities, even while just reading them with no intent. Walt Disney in the 30s then brought scrying to the masses, possibly inadvertently, possibly by design.
In the year 1938, the Walt Disney Company, yes, that Walt Disney Company, still of course led by the man himself, introduced this concept. They introduced it into the mainstream, into the populace, but they never used the term scrying. How did they do that, you ask? Well, what they did was they released a little movie, a little film. First ever full-length animated feature film, by the way. It was called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, in this movie, like most movies, there is a villain. And that villain is the evil queen. And what leads her in her endeavour is what is called in the film the magic mirror. She walks into her chambers, looks into her big dark mirror surrounded by candles, and she begins to introspect. She asks it, mirror, mirror, on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? And the mirror responds. It says to her, Snow White is the fairest of them all, not you. You, in fact, have the heart of a pig. You are, and I'm paraphrasing here, a pretty crappy person. So this concept is not new, and it has been popularized in the mainstream by the likes of Walt Disney, and I imagine many others.
So what actually is a scrying mirror? Well, Unlike a regular mirror, which is just a sheet of plain glass with a highly reflective surface stuck onto the back of it, like silver, or tinfoil even, or silver paint, that would then reflect your image back towards you. A scrying mirror, though, isn't about reflection. A scrying mirror is about looking through the glass. And that's why it's traditionally made from obsidian. This is a naturally occurring glass that's formed from silica-rich lava that cools quickly without forming crystals. It's been used for centuries for making sharp-bladed implements and weapons. When you break it, it fractures with a very clean, sharp edge. Making a scrying mirror, however, from this involves a lot of time and effort. You've got to get a flat-ish tablet, you've got to flatten it, you've then got to polish it, and each time you're using a succession of smaller and smaller levels of grit, down to the fact we're probably using clay just to polish the final surface to try and get that reflective surface that you see on black obsidian. In the modern day, we see YouTubers making scrying mirrors by taking photograph frames with no photos in them, taking the backing out and painting the back of the glass, giving it 3 or 4 coats of acrylic black or something like that, flip it over and it looks like a scrying mirror. But is this a real scrying mirror? Because are you looking through it, or are you just looking at a layer of black paint? Is a mirror essential, or is it just a tool that aids your mind to open up? Who knows? So I don't recommend you do scrying, but if you want to try scrying, there are certain rules or recommendations that you should follow. You should be relaxed. You should be in a good frame of mind. You should be happy. You shouldn't be sad or sorrowful, because you're unlikely to have a good experience in that state. You really want to be near to and approaching a trance-like or meditative state. You shouldn't feel any fear or uneasiness while you're doing it. But if you do, you should stop immediately. Don't proceed if you feel uneasy. Staring without focus into the dark surface, looking through it, not at it, through it, while the room is only very dimly lit, is a recommendation from today's scryers. I can't recommend that you try it. And if you do, on your own head be it. So why do we think it's dangerous? Even modern witches who downplay the dangers of scrying suggest that you need to be in the right frame of mind and that you should protect yourself. Casting a protection spell is recommended. I strongly suggest you don't try scrying unless you're prepared for unforeseen or unintended consequences. It's said that it can function like a portal or a vortex that can draw in your soul, or worse, allow a demon or malevolent spirit through from the shadow realm to possess you. Have you ever looked into a regular mirror and sometimes felt a little uneasy at the reverse image looking back at you? Have you done that in the dark? If you have and felt fear, don't try scrying. In fact, don't try scrying. Like all talisman type activities, tarot, water gazing, crystal balls, it's designed to bridge that divide between the material realm and that unsubstantial shadow realm where death no longer exists, but time and suffering continue, and those denizens there would take much pleasure in dragging your soul into their suffering. But I hear you say, what if I want to meet a good spirit, a departed one, or just searching for answers? You won't find good spirits in that place. They are elsewhere and well beyond our reach, and the answers you will get will deceive and confuse you. Perhaps our society is in the state it's in just now because of something that we use on a daily basis. Something made from silicon, made from glass. We all have one. It all looks black when it's off. Could that be what's going on right now? Our phones, computer monitors, or TVs or computers, they all have black glass portals that are used to deliver information to us. Everyone has their own personal scrying mirror. And we talk with ethereal people on it. We have friends we've never met. We get angry, happy, sad at people we don't know. We get our news and information delivered through it. Are we being deceived? Are we being duped? Have we all been brought into the influence of the shadow realm? Are our souls, our spirits being diluted? Are we at risk? Every time we look at, every time we touch, every time we use those scrying mirrors that are ever present and all around us. The Black Mirror holds many secrets, and if you're smart, you will let them be. I hope you've enjoyed this little journey into the intricacies of scrying and why you shouldn't do it. And I'm not joking. Don't muck around with something you know nothing about. Because as they say, we don't want to become Mr. Faffo, do we? On that note though, you know about us, and I'd appreciate it if you'd like, share and subscribe, because that allows us to keep giving you these little gems and to keep you entertained. Have a good one.